C2 Lawson, I know you have spoken about imposter syndrome in the past. Is this something you still deal with occasionally? If so, how do you get past it? By talking about it, by normalizing it. Yeah, I still deal with imposter syndrome all the time, of course. Dude. Yeah. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. And I will actually tell you that some of the loveliest interactions I have had are with people who are way more famous than I am, who were delighted to jump into a conversation about imposter syndrome. Yeah, like people I would never have expected to feel it. But of course, everybody does. Everybody does. Nobody escapes. It's like the corollary of Buddha's first truth. Emma Gibbs, this is great. Have you ever finished a build, project, or cosplay costume, and upon final examination, you were unhappy with it and felt you needed to scrap it and start over again? Not quite unhappy with it, but only upon completion. Okay. I get asked all the time, what is my metric for success in a build? Is it aesthetic fidelity? Is it an engineering challenge? What is it? And I didn't know the answer for the longest time. So I kept examining it. And in the past few years, I've realized that what I'm looking for in a build is really specifically an experience. I want a relationship, a tactile and visual relationship to the object that generates an experience that is what I was looking for. And hold on. My Samaritan is maybe the finest example of this yet in my making life. I was looking for an experience of holding on to this beautiful piece that matched what I felt when I was touring Guillermo's Bleak House, and I held the real Samaritan for 20 minutes. And oh, wow, something's wrong with it. What happened? Ooh. I believe. Somebody dropped the Samaritan and the triggers, the hammer's broken. I'm gonna have to fix that. The young people were here playing pool recently, and that may have happened on their watch. I'll bet whoever it happened to is freaking terrified to tell me about it. So many times I have completed a project and looked at it and thought, that's not the experience I was going for. And then I start thinking about doing that project again and trying it one more time. I mean, I built 5 Blade Runner guns over the course of my life since I was 18 years old, looking for that experience. So I don't look at it as like, I failed. I look at it as like, not quite what I wanted. Okay, let's keep on going. Not quite what I wanted. Let's keep on going. Each one informs the next one. I don't take it hard that like the experience wasn't matched because I didn't know what I needed to get that experience. I'm always excited to have a clear indication of what my next step is. That is a really key thing for me as a maker. I am always delighted to know what the next step is. I said this a while back on one of our videos that we were shooting. I said, you don't have to know how the project's going to end. You just have to know the next step. And I'm starting to think that like, you shouldn't, like, you have to keep the global picture in your mind, but the next step is the only important step. Yeah. It's a great question. All right, let's see here. Kev Wheeler has a specific question about the Apollo suit connector that I did when I showed the several failures I had while milling one of the pieces. He says, or she says, I think it's he, how do you get yourself back into the right frame of mind after that kind of situation? You have a process to go through to get back into the right headspace. Yeah, I do. It doesn't always work. you know, it's like, how do you get into the right headspace? I'm not exactly sure, except like with practice. So, and by talking about it. That video you referred to when I was making the suit connectors and I screwed them up, and then I came in the next day, and at the end of that shoot, Norm and Joey and I were here, and I said, you know what, I want to talk to this failure. So we just set up the camera, and I talked about how unpleasant it felt to have screwed it up so many times, and that I went home thinking I have no business being a maker. I didn't want to talk about that on camera. That feels like a ridiculous thing to think in my head. But I also recognize that by talking about it, I'm normalizing it in a way that's important, both for me and for who might be watching and feeling similar feelings. Um, Sometimes I screw something up and I'm so upset about it, I just have to leave. I have to leave the shop. I won't sweep up. I'm just going to go, and I'll come in tomorrow and it'll be a new day. But when I'm in the right headspace, like I was the other day with this, with screwing up that thing on the mill, when I'm in the right headspace, it's like I just don't feed the wolf in my head that's angry about the situation. Like it's, the emotion I'm having is effectively like I'm mad at the dirt. Like this, what I'm mad at isn't a thing. And it doesn't necessarily change what's in front of me or the next thing I'm supposed to do. And I've gotten better over the years, far from perfect. But let's say I feel like I'm 30% better now than I was 20 years ago at managing my emotions while building. 30% better, maybe 40% better. I don't even know what those percentages mean, but I have improved some over time at the ability to kind of like, right, here's my emotion, here's the next task. I don't have to worry about this that much. This is the important part. And when you do that, actually, this is really specific. When you're feeling a strong emotion, if you do not feed it, it really goes away in like half an hour at the most, sometimes like 15 minutes. I think I'm sure someone's done a study on how much time a high level of emotional activation remains kind of sitting there making you crazy. But seriously, if you don't wind yourself up, and I'm an expert at that, if you don't wind yourself up, you'll notice after like half an hour that emotional activation is just totally gone. I really have had that experience repeatedly. And so it's something my wife and I say to each other all the time. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. It's like, I can't be mad at the wind. I said the wind can go to hell, but like, what am I going to do? The wind being blustery is going to ruin my day. It's only so much time.